Hi folks, welcome back to the Hoard. Not fully charged. Let me show you what I'm up to today, and while I'm walking and talking, I'm also going to hit a few of the other things on my mind. John's wake is this afternoon, so after I finish this video, I have to go get myself ready for that. It'll be sad saying goodbye to John, but it'll be good catching up with some of my old buddies. I really want to thank you guys for all the words of condolence and so forth. You know, that helps. Talking about some of the old John stories, particularly with you Dizzy and Captain Jerk there. We had a couple of phone calls. That was fun. So anyway, I really do appreciate that. I just want to show you guys something, and this is kind of a cautionary thing. I guess to me, when I think of these China things, whether I'm thinking of this or the two losers by the door here, right? I kind of look at them and I say, oh, top starter, 110 cc's, everything is good. Top starter, 70 cc's, everything is good, you know. And in my mind, they're all like the same exact engine. Well, for the all-terrain vehicles, the quads, you don't have any problem. The engines are more or less the same. This is a 110 cc quad motor. And you could kind of see a problem. They didn't do the cutout that's needed to run this motor on this off-road go-kart. And quite honestly, the OEM motor is a little different. It's got a nice cutout on the side of it there, so it is easy to do the whole chain thing. See how it's cut out? See how it's cut out down by my fingers there, right? So the chain doesn't run into this case. Now, there are things I could do, obviously, right? I could see if this will go on the other one and so forth. But given all that extra work, chances are what I'm going to do is just get this engine started. I did manage to get the rings freed up. I have to finish cleaning up this mess and put it all back together again. Then I need to drill this. I put the long bolt in there so I can kind of see what parallel is. I mean, I want to come down like in that straight down, like from that. I don't want to be off to the sides in any directions, right? I mean, I want to look straight down and come at it. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to put this in. I do have some plumber's putty downstairs, so I might just put a big glob of plumber's putty on the plate, the table there, the drilling table. I then use the plumber's putty to kind of get my angles really set up nice, and then drill it out with that. I went through the Hoard, and I don't seem, and I find this really hard to believe in all the crap I've collected over all the years, that I haven't picked up a set of Easy Outs, or Sears had a set that had like 3 sizes, and you kind of drill backwards in, and the bit was set up so that it would drill a hole, and then as it went in, there were threads that were a little beyond the drill bit, so the threads would start to bite and drag it in, and once again you're turning it backwards, so eventually it grabbed the broken stud and spin it out. I can't believe I, with all my flea market finds and deals and all that I never picked up a set of those. Or if I have picked them up, They're not in any of the normal places. Normally when I come up with a specialty set like that, I put them in the toolbox near the door, going in and out between the basement and the garage, so it's not there. Anyway, the real purpose of this video, other than to say thanks for some of the compassion there, was to show you guys that don't just put in your head that these engines are all configured exactly the same way. Other than having, once again, this case problem, I'm also really tight right there with that oil filler and dipstick. I could probably get around that problem and make that work. While the engine is hanging here, while it's on there, while it's suspended, I'm probably gonna put some oil in there. This was the supposedly new engine, maybe, I don't think it was bolted on anything, but there is some damage, like right there. I think you guys can see where my finger is. That makes it look like somebody put a chain on there at some point, or did something. Though the holes where the bolts go through to bolt it to stuff, it doesn't look like anybody ran any bolts through there. There were no scrapes or scratches in the paint or the black anodization or whatever the hell it is. So I don't know. I don't know if it was bolted to something and taken off, or somebody kind of laid it out like they were going to put it somewhere and put a chain on it and kind of dragged that around and then said, oh, and took it off without bolting it up, or just put the chain on it for to layout purposes, basically. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Supposedly it's never been run. The intake looks like it's never been run. The exhaust looks like it's never been run. So maybe the best way of describing that engine is never been run. It's probably, let's not call it new. Let's just call it never been run and go with it from there. So you guys could see I have some engine swap work to do. Guys, I really got to thank you for a lot of the good information I get from you all. Conceptually, like with the Odyssey, I understand how a 2-cycle works. There's no issue on that. But from a practical point of view, I've not ever considered stuff like case seals, right? And if your case seals are no good, that means you don't have very good vacuum in the case. And if you don't have very good vacuum in the case, you can't use that vacuum to run a fuel pump. And if your fuel pump isn't working, it would make sense to see a brand new fuel pump on the Odyssey in particular. And then they were still having trouble with it. Maybe they smashed the new fuel pump on it and things got better, because with the new fuel pump it was a little bit more efficient than the old fuel pump. And maybe it ran a little bit longer, but given the age of the Odyssey, it wouldn't surprise, just the age and the wear on it, right? It wouldn't surprise me if the case seals weren't bad. And that might be why there's no vacuum, which means the fuel pump doesn't work, which means there's no fuel in the carburetor, which means it doesn't run unless you give it a little bit of a hoot of starting fluid. By the way, I do know this. Too much starting fluid on 2-strokers, really not a good idea. You can break things, and you're not lubricating the cylinder, and you could get yourself in all kinds of trouble. So really be careful with your starting fluid in your 2-strokes. As a matter of fact, I really don't recommend starting fluid in 2-strokes. It's not as bad as starting fluid in a diesel, which could put part of a diesel engine in your forehead, but it's still not a good idea for 2-strokes. I do have a question though, and I'm asking Roger, but for anybody else with any experience on this also. If I have bad case seals, it doesn't mean that I have bad manifold vacuum, right? The engine seems to pull the mix directly in. All it has is a reed separating it. Well, maybe that's not true, actually. Anyway, if I have bad K-seals, will she run, and will it be okay to run like that? Will it get to the point where it'll overheat and hurt itself, right? I mean, if your vacuum is no good, wouldn't that indicate you're drawing more air, which means you're drawing more oxygen, which means you're probably running lean? I don't know. I'm going to let you guys tell me, or it might even depend on the configuration of the engine. I don't know. Once again, I'm going to let you guys tell me. Right now, the plan for the Odyssey is to hang a remote gas tank, a quarter turn valve, and try to fire it up and see what happens. But if somebody gets right back to me and tells me, yo, stupid, don't do that, you're running lean, you're going to blow things up, I'm going to go, hey, good information. So guys, do let me know. All right, folks, I really want to thank you all for watching and commenting and subscribing. Take care. We'll see you guys tomorrow. And remember, keep your feet down, keep your head up, and please get out there and enjoy all your days. Bye now, folks.